Behind the Miss Universe pageant has filed for bankruptcy. The company is owned and run by Yasharahla. She's a transgender woman who took over the event in 2022. Emily Austin was a judge in the Miss Universe pageant in 2022, and she joins me now. The prominence of the trans owner, is that what did them in?
Socially, absolutely. I think the outrage about a trans woman coming to Miss Universe and preaching, bring the power back to women, couldn't be more of an oxymoron.
And so they're bankrupt. The transgender issue is one of the reasons for that bankruptcy.
I think so. I think her company in Thailand has its own financial issues, but socially and morally, it's just wrong, and people are starting to catch on that.
Are trans women allowed in beauty pageants, generally speaking?
They are. The question is, should they be allowed? And my answer is they should not. Absolutely not.
Why?
Because if you want to empower women, the way to do it is not demeaning women and belittling women by allowing men or biological men who became a woman to come into an industry like sports, like beauty pageants, come all dolled up plastic, beautiful men, by the way, and start dominating women's industries. That's the opposite of women's empowerment.
But I can understand not allowing trans athletes to compete with biological men and biological women. I can understand that. But a beauty pageant is all about look. It's not
for
about,
women.
Yeah, but it's not all about power and speed and strength. It's the look. And if the look is a woman, why would you object to that?
So yes and no. So being a judge, I can attest that a lot of it is the interview. And the interview comes from your life story and how as a woman you've evolved and you want to change the world. So if you grew up a man and you decided to become a woman, I don't think you have a true woman's feminine story. You don't know what period cramps feel like. I'm sorry. You don't know what it's like to walk down a stage, during that time of the month and really say, this is femininity. No, you're not. You are a man who identifies as a woman, and that's fine, but don't start coming into women's industries. Like, have a line, have a boundary. That's the problem.
Yasharahla, the honors of the apostle and Elsbeth Millstone, peace and citation, hope for elect, Shalom. And before I get into the scriptures, I want to bring out this article. So it says, company behind Miss Universe files for bankruptcy after transgender controversy. So, as you can see in the in that news clip, this lady named Emily Austin, she went as far as talking against the transformer community that's pretty much participating in these beauty pageants, and she claims that it was an oxymoron for allowing trannies in beauty pageants, and then at the same time you got transgender activists that are trying to say something empowering women, like to pretty much empower women's rights and things of that nature. And it's pretty much very ironic, the fact that you have it to where these transformers are starting to compete with these women, but at the same time, they're trying to push for women's rights as well. This is biologically men that are actually, transitioning themselves into women. But like what she said in the news video, she said that, you're not going to be able to go through periods as a biological male, even if you transition to a woman. So they still don't have those necessary difficulties that they go through, like how a woman goes through in her day-to-day life. Other than that, let me just get into the article right now. It says, while the 2023 Miss Universe pageant, known for its inclusion transgender contestants, will still take place this Saturday, the JKN Global Group behind it filed for bankruptcy just days before the event. It says, Thai business tycoon and transgender activist Annie Yasharahla of the JKN Global Group bought the organization for $20 million in 2022. Yasharahla, who has international fame as a transgender celebrity, described the purchase at the time as, in quote, a strong strategic addition to our portfolio. But a year later, the franchise itself appears unstable. A public document sent to the Stock Exchange of Thailand from JKN Global Group declared, in quote, JKN Global Group Public Company Limited, the company has filed a petition for business rehabilitation with the Central Bankruptcy Court under the Bankruptcy Act BE 2483 1940 as amended the Bankruptcy Act on November 8, 2023. The Central Bankruptcy Court has subsequently issued an order to accept the petition for business rehabilitation of the company on November 9, 2023. The Miss Universe organization published a subsequent announcement declaring that amid, in quote, the current financial situation, that, in quote, we confirm that Miss Universe 2023 will be held in El Salvador on 18 November 2023, where top-notch experience provided to our fans will remain our top priorities. And ironically, November 18th is today. Anyways, back into the article, it says this year's Miss Universe pageant is slated to feature at least 2 transgender people who identify as women. For the first time, Miss Portugal, a flight attendant named Marina Machete, and Ricky Collet, which is the first transgender Miss Netherlands. Wow. This follows Spain's Angela Ponce, who was the pageant's first trans contestant overall in 2018, but did not advance to the finals. Machete released a video in September lamenting that, in quote, rising levels of transphobia and intolerance are alarming worldwide. However, Machete declared it was, in quote, heartwarming to see that the Miss Universe organization is so inclusive, breaking boundaries and creating a platform for women not only to empower them, but as well to create real changes in their own communities. In quote, trans women are women, full stop. The Miss Universe organization told CNN in October following Miss Portugal's crowning, "We are here to celebrate women, full stop. This has been true for more than a decade, and we're proud to have made this change very early on compared to other programs." JKN Global Group and the Miss Universe organization have yet to respond to a request for comment from Fox News Digital. So without further ado, I'll bring out some scriptures and Lord willing make this lesson edifying. So before I start this video, with the scriptures, I want to really just do something special here at this point. I want to give a round of applause, pretty much give like a whole clap it up for this, for Esau, we gotta clap it up for him, because at the end of the day, the same devil that raised up these women over us to give these Americanized women liberty, now he's using men transitioning into women, basically transgender women now. He's using them to be over these biological women. So ain't that a fucking kick in the head? Wow, ain't that a knee slapper? So in order for biological men to have an edge in society, to pretty much be over biological women, they have to transition into women. Oh, the irony. And scriptures say that's the new thing the Lord created on the earth: a woman shall surpass a man. And even then, a transgender woman at this point, is compassing a biological woman now. And then when you have biological women that want to be treated like men and want to turn themselves into men, hey, that's double the punishment that they have to go through, because now everyone's gonna think that you a man. Because most of the LGBTQ rights is going to, actual men that actually transition themselves into women. So it's technically like Esau putting men above women. The only thing is that they have to just sell out. And one way of them selling out, of course, in this case is, biological men transitioning themselves into women, therefore creating transgender women. So now, the first scripture I'd like to bring out is book of Sirach, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away." set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh a wild beast? So now that you women are feeling the sting of basically losing competitions to these transformer people, you losing sports competitions, beauty pageant competitions, and basically the whole nine in terms of whatever you compete with each other with in your department, in your division. Because let's say the female division is different from the men division. Now you had it to where, in certain states they're allowing for men to compete with women by those men being transformers, turning themselves into a transgender. Now they could end up going into a woman's division and end up taking away all that they work hard for, and basically being on the top, 3 in the competition because they have the advantage of being a man. And it shows you why you women need to stay at home and be keepers at home any damn way, like it says in Titus 2nd chapter. And verse 16 says, the enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. And the enemy, which is a so-called white man, giving you women liberty and giving you rights, especially for the women's liberation in 1980s, where they allowed women to have the power to kick a man out the house. And of course they were going to push that amongst the so-called black women and follow along with the rest of the other 12 tribes as well. So-called black Hispanic Native Americans in their communities, they were able to do the same thing. And now Esau has it to where you women are being stressed out and burnt out in the workforce and things of that nature because you think that you're all strong and independent, getting all these government benefits. But then at the same time, you got to deal with all the adversities that come with being a career woman. And out of all career searching women, one that thinks that they're independent and think that they don't need a man. And let me bring out another precept. It says in 1 Timothy chapter 5, let's get the point out in verse 15. Well, actually, I can start at verse 14. It says, I will therefore that the young woman marry, bear children, guard the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. For some are already turned aside after Satan. And that's what a lot of these women do. They turn aside after Satan's, the liberty and the laws that this devil gives. Like these women, they pretty much, they turn aside after that, They're in league with this devil Esau. You got feminism, they got social media, pretty much they got women's lib. And as men, we really can't compete with that. So all that's left is for, the Most High to pretty much, take all those things down. And he's using Esau to do that. The same man that gave it to them, he's already taking it away from them little by little. And because that same Edomite bitch on the video, she was mentioning about how when it's coming to the beauty pageant, the reason why it's going bankrupt or whatever the case is because they allowing transformers to be in there. And I feel like that's not really the case, because you do have LGBTQ gaining a lot of popularity, and it's sad to say a majority of our people are starting to be, influenced by that, LGBTQ community, to the point where Jake is now the face of it, and the biggest pusher of that community. The community is even having influence in the music industry, even in the rap, industry as well. And because of the shit that she said about those transgenders, how she was mentioning that, it's a disrespect to have them, because she was the Miss Universe judge, and she was speaking against the transgenders in that news article. I mean, no, not the news article, the news video clip, you know, she could pretty much potentially get a lot of backlash from the LGBTQ community, because she recently did it like about a few days ago. And you know, that's considered to be what? Hate speech. And you already know what happens once you speak against those LGBTQ people, you know, and they consider your talk as hate speech. They could go as far as clipping your roles and your opportunities in the workforce. You know, they could go as far as making you terminated from your job. And to your biological woman that's speaking against the LGBTQ community now, you know, there goes the demise of your career. And all that's going to lead you left with now is basically you actually having to do the roles that you were required to do from the beginning, which is to cook and clean and serve for your man, to be a female servant. But that's the thing about women in general. They don't think logically, because, you know, at one point it was to where they shame men. They say men ain't shit. They talk shit against men. They talk down on men. And now when you have it to where men get so oppressed by this whole society, because scriptures say in Isaiah the 3rd chapter that how children are their oppressors and women rule over them. I'm not talking about the Israelites, you know, because technically we still going through those curses. Another point I want to make is when it's coming to this whole LGBTQ thing, a lot of the times, you know, men pretty much, you know, they get a lot of backlash for, you know, being men in the society and growing up in a single mother homes, which is something that the woman created, for kicking the man out the house, thinking that you could be strong and independent. And now when the kid is not raised with the father, now he's gonna look after the mother. Like if the mother is the leader of the household, like if she's the head of the household, and now that's gonna basically make that kid end up want to be gay, you know, and then he may take further steps into that you know, sodomite lifestyle, and then he's gonna end up wanting to become a transgender. And the stupid thing about a lot of women is that a lot of y'all have all these gay friends, and you seem to be around gay guys more than you seem to be around actual men. And then you talk shit about actual men when they spit facts. But at the same time, it's like, now when you're going against these transformers, competing against these transgender men, these transgender women, which is men that transition to women, now it's a problem, right? That's why the scriptures say in the Proverbs that how a simple woman is, you know, a foolish woman is clamorous, and she's simple and knoweth nothing, you know? Because one thing about a lot of these women, they don't understand things logically, and they have to see carnally how things are for them, you know, and how things don't work for them, in a sense where now basically with the whole transgender community, you know, you got a lot of women, even so-called black women, having a lot of gay friends, and then you have it to where it's a problem now when they see those same gay friends that they had, you know, turning into transgender women, and now they're competing against them and having more opportunities than them. And this is what happens when you women put your trust into the so-called white man, who's the serpent. In other words, the devil, the deceiver. Another thing too, like in the news clip, I didn't put it in the news clip because I know it wasn't really important. You know, I just wanted to get that piece out of it. Talking about, you know, the Miss Universe shit that she was, you know, speaking about. But another part in the news clip that I didn't include was the fact that she also mentioned how, you know, she needed a bodyguard because of some, you know, anti-Semitic threats, because she apparently is an Amalekite, you know. And one thing about those Amalekites, like they, you know, of course, like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, they're the ones that funded the whole LGBTQ. You know, not only funded Women's Lib, but Women's Lib pretty much led to the LGBTQ community. Because like I said, when you remove the father from the picture, that ends up creating a household of chaos, because now the father, who's the leader of the household, ends up leaving, that causes for men to basically be more effeminate and emotional and just, a lot of chaos. One more point I want to mention before I close out is I don't think she realizes the stupid mistake that she has made by pretty much going on a news outlet and revealing her true feelings about how, the whole transgenders competing in the Miss Universe is a morally wrong thing. Especially when her people were the reason why the whole transgender community, came about anyway. And like I said, it originally originated from the whole woman's lip shit. But yeah, that's it on that. I'd like to say, Yasharahla, 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 Yasharahla